The year is 1911, and in the small town of Prescott, Arkansas, a man is found dead in the local park. He's later identified as a local salesman known as Old Mike. Today we're going to be talking about the story of Old Mike, and this one's very interesting, weird. Researching this, there's a lot of details that are kind of fuzzy, or there's not exact details that you can pinpoint. But more or less, the sources that I was able to find, these are all, just approximations or what people knew at the time in 1911 that they recollected about Old Mike. Now, Prescott, Arkansas is about a couple hours from me. In Southwest Arkansas, I never lived there, but it's a very interesting story, and I wanted to bring it to you guys so you could learn more about the haunting mystery of Old Mike. So let's set the stage. It's 1911, and we're in Prescott, sleepy little town in Nevada County, Arkansas. Think dirt roads, horse-drawn carriages, and a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone. Into this quiet scene walks a guy we only know as Old Mike. Nobody knows his real name, where he came from, or what he was doing in Prescott. He was a traveling salesman, maybe in his 40s or 50s, probably selling tools, clothes, or some type of goods to the locals. I also saw something about lead tip pencils. Apparently, that was a thing to be a salesman for, but I digress. Now, here's where it gets weird. On August 20th, 1911, old Mike is found dead in the city park. No foul play, no big crime scene, just a guy who, as far as anyone could tell, dropped dead, maybe from a heart attack or stroke. Now, in most cases, an unclaimed body would be buried, and that'd be the end of it. But not old Mike. Oh no. This is where the story takes a turn into the Twilight Zone. So, since nobody claimed old Mike, the local funeral home, Cornish Funeral Home, decided to embalm him. And let me tell you, they did a killer job. No pun intended. His body was so well preserved that it barely decayed at all. We're talking skin still looking lifelike, facial features intact decades later. Now, here's the wild part. Instead of burying him, the funeral home puts old Mike's body in a glass case and displays it outside of their building like he's some kind of museum exhibit. Why? They said it was to help identify him. Fair enough, right? If somebody comes passing through the town, knew old Mike, they might see him and solve the mystery. But here's the kicker, though. They kept him on display for 64 years, from 1911 to 1975. 64 years. Kids would walk by on their way to school, tourists would stop and stare, and old Mike just sat there, preserved like a wax figure, becoming this bizarre local legend. Now I gotta ask, was this really about identification or was it something else? Some folks think the funeral home was showing off their embalming skills, like, look how good we are at this. Others might say it was just a small town quirk that got out of hand. Either way, can you imagine walking past a preserved body every day? That's next level creep. So in the early 1900s, it wasn't unheard of for unclaimed bodies to be kept for a bit, especially in rural areas where transients came and went. But 64 years, that's not just a delay, that's a lifestyle choice. By the 1920s, it was clear nobody was coming for old Mike. So why keep him out there? Some locals say it became a point of pride for Prescott, like their own version of a roadside attraction. Others think the funeral home just didn't know what else to do with it. Then there's the preservation itself. How did they keep old Mike looking so good for over half a century? Embalming back then used stuff like formaldehyde or even arsenic, but to preserve a body that well, that's some mad scientist level skill. Now, some folks speculate they used experimental techniques or that the glass case created a perfect environment like a vacuum seal. There's even a wild theory that Prescott's soil or water had some weird mineral properties, maybe tied to the quartz deposits in Arkansas, that helped. I'm not saying I buy that, but it's Arkansas, so who knows? The bigger question is, who was old Mike? Was he just a drifter with no family, a salesman with a secret past? Nobody checked dental records or fingerprints back then, and any belongings he had were long gone. It's like he just appeared in Prescott, died, and became a ghost story without ever leaving a trace. So let's fast forward to the 1970s, and times are changing. Displaying a body for decades is starting to feel less quirky and more, well, wrong. By 1975, the Arkansas State Health Department steps in and says enough is enough. On May 12th, 1975, old Mike is finally laid to rest in an unmarked grave at the D. Ann Cemetery in Prescott. A small funeral is held, and just like that, his time as a public spectacle is over. But the story does not end there. Old Mike is still a legend in Prescott. People still talk about him like he's the town's unofficial mascot. Now, some people say they have a weird vibe near the old funeral home site or the cemetery, like old Mike's spirit is still hanging around, wondering why he was on display for so long. There's no evidence of hauntings, but in a town with a story this weird, you can't blame folks for wondering. The mystery of Old Mike raises some big questions, like how does someone's identity just vanish? Why did a whole town go along with this for multiple decades? And what does it say about how we handle the unknown even in death? It's a story that's equal parts sad, strange, and fascinating. Let's talk theories. What do you think was going on with old Mike? Was he a nobody who just got unlucky, or could he have been somebody that was important hiding out in Arkansas? Maybe he was a criminal on the run. And what about that preservation? Was that mad scientist or just a fluke? Go ahead, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love what you guys have to say. Being personally from Arkansas, I did not know about Old Mike before researching this. However, my thoughts on him, I really do believe he was a traveling salesman that, unfortunately passed away in Prescott, and his family probably did live in Europe, or, he really didn't have any family. So that's why they only know him as Old Mike. He may have been, really a transient with no family, and there's nobody that knew who he was. Regardless, he's a legend in Prescott, so rest in peace, old Mike. All right, guys, that is going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely enjoyed researching this video as far as old Mike and the story in Prescott about him. I'm definitely going to be doing more stories about weird oddities in Arkansas. And I also want to go on site and do some filming as well. So stay tuned for more videos and more content to come. Like I said, please subscribe and comment below if you have any information regarding Old Mike and Prescott. I'm definitely interested to see what you guys think or see what you know. Until then, see you guys later and take care.